Walt, take one.
You know, my grandmother started cross-dressing me when I was 4 years old. She made me a purple chiffon evening dress just for me. And she made that purple dress and put that purple dress on me and then began to affirm me and began to tell me how cute I looked as a girl. And at first, probably didn't bother me much, but I began to wonder, like, what's wrong with me as a boy? But the secret became the issue, because Grandma said, this is our little secret. Don't tell your parents. Don't tell anybody. And, you know, you have to be older than 4 years old to realize if there's a secret, there's something wrong. With my grandmother, it went on for 2.5 years until my parents discovered that Grandma had been doing this, and my dad got extremely upset. He didn't know what to do. He's completely baffled by how to handle this. So he decided that the best way to shape me and mold me would be to use heavy discipline. So he elected to use a hardwood floor plank on me and discipline me with that as a way like a blacksmith might try to shape steel. At first I cried and screamed and yelled because it was causing welts on my little butt. But I realized I wanted him to stop doing it, and I thought if I didn't cry that he would stop doing it. It actually worked. I went on into my teens and identified quietly as Crystal West, just internalized it. I didn't tell anybody. I wasn't cross-dressing or anything. Nobody knew that I was struggling with these issues. In doing this, I began to tell my girlfriend you know, what had happened to me and what I was doing. And I realized in telling my girlfriend and I'm in my teens, as I said, about what happened and what I was doing, she just, you know, she didn't want anything to do with me. So I realized I couldn't talk about it. Nobody wanted to hear about somebody who'd gone through these things and a boy who was dressing up as a girl. So I continued to go through this process and met a lady in church and told her another person. She said, oh, well, we're going to work through this. So we were married for 16 years, but I struggled that entire 16 years with cross-dressing and so forth. But after about 15 years of marriage, I went to a gender therapist, which is somebody you should always avoid. And this gender therapist said, well, you need hormone therapy and you need gender reassignment surgery, which is a total lie. I needed Jesus Christ. I didn't need hormones. I didn't need surgery. I didn't need a new identity. I started on hormone therapy in 1981, and by 1983, I had been approved because I'd been on hormones. I divorced my wife by this time. Now I was approved for surgery, underwent gender reassignment surgery, became Laura Jensen, or identified as Laura Jensen in 1983. I was working with American Motors, and actually a Honda at the time that I was cross-dressing. I was terminated, and now I'm homeless, divorced, and an alcoholic. But I'd gone through this, and so living in a park in Long Beach, California with vomit all over me, I woke up in the middle of the night and looked at myself and thought, you know, this is probably not the best way to live life. There's got to be something better. So I began to go to therapy. I went to a Christian therapist. He said, after listening to your story and what's going on in your life, he said, I think the best thing to do is we should curse Walt and bless Laura and get on with your life as Laura. And looking back at that, that was probably the worst advice anybody ever gave me. So that led me to believe I was on the right track, that this was sort of anointed by God and that I was going to be fine. And so I went on to live with a family, a pastor in Pleasanton, California, and began to work through these things. And I took up alcohol. I started becoming an alcoholic again, and I ended up going into treatment. After 4 months, I went back to church and began to engage in finding the Lord Jesus Christ. I went to a therapist, a Christian therapist, and he began to help me through this process that I've been going through. And during that time with him, we explored everything, all the things that I'm sharing with you now and more. And I had written them all down on a yellow lined piece of paper. All the things, all the pain, the hurt, the alcoholism, the abuses and everything. And when we got done after about 2.5 hours, we went in the parking lot of his office. And I went outside with him, and we stood there, and I had the yellow line paper in my hand, and he had a match. And he says, okay. He says, I'm going to torch this paper. And he took a match, and he lit the corner of the yellow line paper with all of these things about my life on it. And the flames began to consume that yellow line paper. A gentle breeze just took it away. And so he said, it's time to pray, and let's go back to my office, and we're going to pray. Well, knowing this guy and his prayer, I thought, I don't really want to pray with this guy because he's probably going to pray for like an hour. But there was a moment where I didn't hear him anymore. And things got silent. And then I remember looking up and seeing the Lord Jesus coming down with his hands stretched toward me. And in front of me was a little baby wrapped in cloth. And I looked at the baby and I go, my gosh, that's me. And the Lord's coming for that baby. And the Lord picked up that baby and held that baby and then turned to me and said, you'll be safe with me forever. And the Lord disappeared. I realized at that very moment, during that prayer that I didn't really hear much of, that I heard the Lord speak to me and tell me I was safe with him forever. I knew I'd been at that moment redeemed and restored to serve Jesus Christ in this ministry that I have today with my wife. And we've written 7 books. We've been in about a dozen documentary films. We've been in many countries around the world, and we're reaching people every day. And I can tell you that the exciting part is being able to minister to people and being able to explain to people that no one is born transgender. God doesn't make transgenders. Man makes transgenders. God makes a male and a female. That's it. And I can work with people and help them see that and help them find Jesus Christ and have their life redeemed and restored just like I did. I can tell you there is absolutely nothing more exciting than to see a life redeemed and restored by Jesus Christ. I'm Walt Heyer. This is my story of redemption.